You're slowly fading, like smoke in the morning light. I'm stuck here waiting for something to feel right. You're running with the wolves at night, carrying the weight in the daylight. Will never be the same, and it's alright. But in the afterglow, I cannot let you go.
Happy October, everyone. Graveyard here. I just want to give everyone a quick, deeper dive into the horror that was Marvel Zombies, the 4-part season 1 that came out last week. This won't be a full Easter egg recap or breakdown. Other channels have done those comprehensive lists for us, so check them out in the links below. But let's get into this. I want to give my insight into the biggest differences between the comics and the show that we possibly can, and the deeper horror meanings that exist throughout the Zombies run number, I believe, 4. And that is a voodoo zombie versus a plague zombie, which is the original idea of a zombie being come from voodoo. Now, with Wanda controlling the hive minds of the zombies, to me is very similar to Ultron versus the Marvel Zombies, which is a run in the Marvel Zombies comic book. And I kind of see that as that similarity, and he's using it there. Now, of course, the endless horde attacking everyone, that's quintessential of World War Z, and of course, Resident Evil movies, which have the biggest, really zombie attack scenes that we have so far. Now, the piece that I see in this episode 1 that isn't a necessarily zombie-esque callback, but is when the spear goes through Melina and goes through the door in the backside, that's typical of a slasher. We have people like Michael Myers, who's able to shove a gun through someone and through a door, but really Jason Voorhees, he's able to stab his machete through really any that we see. And to me, that's a classic slasher callback. Now, on to episode 2. Now, we have giant grasshoppers that are affected by the pin particles, but them crawling the building, to me, is a good reference to the beginning of the end. The Peter Graves movie about mutated grasshoppers, and they really are just grasshoppers on top of a postcard of the Empire State Building. It's a good callback to that. You know, we have the giant seagull as well. To me, it's the Claw, another B movies from the 60s. Now, the zombies falling from the building, very, very World War Z, but also, you know, a different type of zombie of The Happening, where trees are causing people to jump off the building in a construction site. Now, Katie grabbing the pipe in San Francisco is kind of, to me, a callback to Silent Hill, where generally you have a piece of wood, but your first stable weapon is a pipe. And that's kind of the go-to for any first zombie game is a pipe. Now, Shang-Chi's dad and 10 Rings coming in helicopters, while it is very apocalypse now, it also happens with helicopters in Resident Evil by, you know, Paul W.S. Anderson. Now, Shang-Chi getting bit on the hand, on the right hand specifically, to me, it's very Ash from Evil Dead, where he, you know, instead of chopping off his hand, he gets a ring to stop it, the infection. So just a different way of doing the same thing. Once again, the Raft being the last city of humanity, very Resident Evil, Zombieland, and Land of the Dead, where we have the last sanctity of humanity. Sitting at sea, once again, Resident Evil, with it even being corrupt, run by a baron or the military, which is 20 Days Later, Last of Us, and all that jazz. Now, Zombie Namor. People always debated whether zombies could survive underwater. We do see that in Land of the Dead, where the zombie horde goes to the last city and goes underwater and is able to survive. So we have that. Now, all the whispers that we get in the opening credits and throughout episode 2, Wanda's whispers, to me, are not much different than when Ash from Evil Dead is being tormented by the Deadites. It's very reminiscent of that. Now, so that's all there. But the last scene in episode 2 that I think most people don't give enough horror credit to is when Yelena is running through the hall and hands are coming out of the wall. That is 100% Day of the Dead, George Romero's original from the 80s. Now, on to episode 3. Zombie Thanos learning to use the gauntlet and, you know, all the Infinity Stones. We do see zombies learning after some period of time in George Romero's Day of the Dead and Land of the Dead, where they start going back to their normal everyday lives. Now, of course, the hands coming out of the ground is a great reference to Evil Dead, which in itself was homage to the ending dream sequence of Carrie. Now, I bring this up because in the Marvel Zombies comics, Ash kind of is responsible in a way for the Marvel Zombies, and we have Ash, you know, Army Darkness versus Marvel Zombies, where he actually goes into the planet or Earth Z as infected, and he realizes that these zombies are vastly different from ones that are the Deadites from the Necronomicon, but I have to throw it out there because it is a great homage to it. Now, I think Zombie Wanda in episode 3 looks a lot like, especially with her crown, the Queen Zombie from Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead. Now, when as a troop is kind of getting through everything, we see Jimmy being attacked in the raft. He is torn apart, very, very similar to David in Shaun the Dead at the bar scene. Now, the kind of last piece here in episode 3 is we have the Nova Corps, who's acting as the military in most zombie movies, having the quarantine and stopping and shooting anyone that comes out of the quarantine. So this is really just like the Crazies 28 weeks later, where we have all of England isolated by the military, and eventually people start going into it. Now, on to episode 4, there's only really one piece that I have not seen people talk about, and it's kind of the last stand. There's always a last stand in majority of zombie movies. And to me, this is very reminiscent of Alice taking the survivors on ships against Umbrella in the Resident Evil franchise as well. So that is all the horror pieces that I think I found that other people didn't really talk about, didn't mention, or didn't dive deeper into it. But I said, check out the other videos that are out there for Easter eggs. They do great work for everything else. Now, there is something I want to talk about that is, to me, big differences, obviously, between the comics and the TV show, and there are some similarities in there. So basically, in the Marvel Zombies comics, superheroes are the main zombies because the zombie plague really wants superheroes. It thrives within them. Now, obviously, in the comics, they can retain all their memories and can talk. And they eventually go into the cosmos and eat everything after eating Silver Surfer and Galactus and gain all the cosmic powers. This lets them do it. And we have 40-ish years that pass in the comics as they go back. Now, in the show Marvel Zombies, a shot to the head tends to kill a zombie, which is very George Romero-esque zombie that we have it. But in the comics, we see Colonel America, his head kind of sliced in half in the top part, and his brains are dripping out, but he's still able to function. Now, to me, this is more a Return of the Living Dead zombie where it doesn't matter. You can chop them all up. They still kind of stay alive. There's not really a way other than complete annihilation to kill them, which is also kind of very Dead Alive, which I call the New Zealand Evil Dead. Now, in the original comics, there's multiple ways that the zombie virus comes to be. Some say it's Fantastic Four, some say it's a loop, some say it's Evil Dead and Necronomicon, but it's all kind of the same thing. And the red band that just came out last week shows the Fantastic Four being the cause. Now, obviously, in the TV show, it is, the quantum realm that Janet brings back and kind of happens to her. And really, in the comics, it spreads rapidly because of Quicksilver being affected and going. Now, some pieces that are similar in the comics to the TV show. We have the What If episode, Marvel. What if, zombies? We have T'Challa being eaten piece by piece, cut off by Vision to feed Wanda to help appease her. Now, in the original comics, Hank Pym was doing this to T'Challa to keep his hunger at bay so he can have a clear head. He was doing this to find a cure. And that's what's really interesting with this is that the superheroes in the comics eventually turn on each other and try to save the last piece of humanity that was hiding in Wakanda, that was hiding in Asteroid M. And they come against each other and they are trying to find a cure. So being a zombie doesn't mean you're necessarily evil. You just have this uncontrollable hunger that you can't get rid of. And kind of the last piece that I'm able to see that's similar is we have Scott Lang just ahead in an enclosure, obviously with the cloak from Doctor Strange flying around. Now, to me, this is Hope. Janet Van Dyne, the Wasp, in the comics because her head gets decapitated and she turns and tries to help everyone. So she is put for the safety of others on Asteroid M and Wakanda in a very similar head dome, so she can't bite anyone. She's eventually given robotic suits because we're able to do that. and that's all created by Forge. And we have in the Marvel comics, we have a couple of teams that are able to actually stop or fight the Marvel zombies. We have all the mechanical based superheroes. So we have Vision, we have Wonder Man, and we have Hellstorm, and we have Midnight Suns that are generally prone to not be infected by this. But we do see an alternate Michael Morbius who is able to become a zombie. Now, that kind of begs the question that we didn't really answer is what happens if Blade would be bit? Can you become a zombie vampire? It's yes and no. It's never fully explained in the comics. But, that kind of goes into the idea of Last Man on Earth and I Am Legend, where they are zombie vampires. So I kind of wish the show would have taken a little bit more direction and kind of do a what if these other superheroes are bitten. I would love to have seen what Blade would have become if he was bitten by a zombie. Now, if you notice anything else that I have missed or disagree, let us know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, we'll see you. Doing something new here on the channel, a good breakdown of Marvel Zombies. And I want to bring on two guests. Of course, you know and love them all. They're going to be talking about the show as a whole. Please welcome to the show, Fray and young Phil.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
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 Hello. Yeah. So, what'd you got? And that's your first time seeing the breakdown. What'd you kind of think about the more different callbacks? I guess.
I love the
So
callback.
the audio was my favorite.
Mm-hmm. Damn it, Phil.
Okay, we'll fix it in post. No, I did love the comparisons to horror, and I did pick up on some of that when I was watching it. You definitely pointed out a whole hell of a lot more than I picked up when I was watching, but I did pick up a couple of those things. So, I mean, you're more the man for that, and but it was good. It was fun. Especially just kind of seeing the comparisons to horror and where a lot of what am I looking for? A lot of
homages.
Homages, like a lot of inspiration was drawn from all of these different franchises that do zombies, and yeah, it was good.
I agree with what Phil said. I think that I know it's shocking. That I did catch some of the horror stuff, the Day of the Dead stuff. I got an alien vibe from some of it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then also like some of that deep sea stuff with the raft. That I got like not the Abyss,
Leviathan.
the other one.
Leviathan.
That's I got some Leviathan type things from that. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was really good. I loved the story, the through story, and how everything came together and how they did it in 4 episodes. I mean, it was very the pace was very clippy, and when they paused to take a breath, you wanted to pause to take a breath because you're like, I need a minute. I need a minute.
Yeah.
And you couldn't really mourn any of the heroes that dropped because they were moving on. It was like, oh shit, we're still, we gotta keep going. And then when they had that minute, they did something, but it was like, okay. So yeah, I liked it.
I actually really enjoyed that aspect of, there's no stopping and it's just continuing on. And I feel like it adds to the shock factor because you're sitting there like you just lost a character that you have grown to care about, but you don't have enough time to care about it enough because it's like they're moving on already. Everything is happening. And there are some really heartfelt ones. Like there's Yelena's moment, right? Yelena's moment, it breaks your heart, right? And then you have this entire arc, and when you finally lose God, what's his name?
Red Guardian.
When you finally lose Red Guardian, like it culminates, and it's almost like it feels like it's taken away from you, right? Like
Yeah.
you almost were rooting for him to get through and win, and it's like he gets taken, and I kind of saw it coming because I was just like, is it just that like it's because he got bit early on.
Mhm.
Captain America bit him in the ankle.
Well, super soldier.
Yeah.
And I think like was the super soldier serum like holding him back, but it's like, but no, Cap was a half zombie.
I wonder if he had when he got bit, what was it, at North Island? Is that what they called it? North Island? North Station? Something like that.
Yeah.
They had he had a vaccine. And so I wonder if maybe Milena had a vaccine for it, but they just didn't take any of it because they
Well,
were running out.
only Riri had the vaccine overall, but obviously there's multiple attempts, and that's always like kind of like that staple of the zombie movies too. It's something I didn't point out, which as rewatching too is like, you have to have people that you love in the movie die, and it's always that shocking moment that now they're zombies, now you have to kill them again, and so we had to have it.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's also just kind of like redeeming moments for characters that you already know. So like when Mandarin shows up and he just immediately just starts wrecking, and Shang-Chi gets bit and he just goes, foolish boy, and he throws the rings at him and then sacrifices himself to save him. Like that's not something you immediately expect the Mandarin to do, is to sacrifice himself to save Shang-Chi. Because the Mandarin as a character, even the way that he was portrayed in Shang-Chi, he's kind of selfish, right? And it's kind of like him immediately sacrificing himself for his son was a departure from the character, but giving him an honorable death. And I really enjoyed that. Not that he died, but just the way he sacrificed himself.
Well, I think yes and no. I agree and disagree a little bit, because essentially when this happened, this is still taking place before the events of Shang-Chi, right? So he hasn't been being whispered to by the other side, because he's selfish, but he also wants to save the ones that he loves. He is willing to destroy the world to get his wife back. And I think he realized that he didn't have those whispers from the other side. So it's the same sacrifice play he did to save his wife and the people, and, at the, the other place too. So it's still kind of on par for him, I think. It's interesting that we didn't see Shang-Chi's sister.
Yeah, that's true.
I think there's some aspect of something though, because remember in the movie in Shang-Chi, he didn't immediately know that the Mandarin was his father. He finds that out later. And in this, he immediately recognizes the Mandarin and goes, "Father, no!" Right? Like he knows that it's his dad. So it's like there's some aspect of them meeting at some point, maybe they'll tell that story another time. But like there's an aspect of, it's supposed to be before the events of Shang-Chi within this universe, but at the same time, it kind of throws things out of whack because he knows that the Mandarin is his father, and also the Mandarin has the 10 rings, so there's that whole aspect there. I also absolutely loved the way Namor shows up.
Yeah.
Because they kind of show
I have a question. Are we gonna like just randomly just talk about it? Or
no, I think we should go through.
We should structure.
I think we should honestly start with the what if we didn't rewatch it, just how, because it's a prequel to Marvel Zombies, and it's like I said, the points of stuff like that is it's not they're not fast zombies. They are the George Romero zombies where a headshot can obviously kill them, and you're able to go through that, like I said. And I thought now, when Wanda is whispering to him and mind controlling, that is taken straight out of Ultron versus Marvel Zombies, because that's exactly what he does. And it's also then Black Talon, who controls zombies like Simon Garth, and he does the same whisper. So when Simon Garth is in Marvel Zombies 4, he's carrying the head of Headpool, and who's talking all this stuff too. So they took elements of classic zombies that were not in the original Marvel Zombies. You know what I mean? Because they said they kept their intelligence, and I'd honestly said that Wanda really kept her intelligence from the What If episode, because she still is able to do her mind altering, mind controlling stuff as a zombie. And we saw Thanos take some time, but I think she's still there and doing it ahead of time. So she was able to control it better than everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean they made a point in that episode and at the beginning of episode 3 when they kind of explained that away. They explained that it takes time for them to kind of like regain their consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially when they have that amount of power. So like Thanos, Wanda kind of explains it a little bit as well. So yeah, it is a different aspect to see intelligent zombies.
Yeah.
But it's realistically only 2. And they're, like I said, they're all supposed to be intelligent things. It's what made them not intelligent in the comics was they had the hunger. And once their hunger is satiated, they were able to think clearly. And that's not even alluded to in any way, shape, or form in the show.
Yeah, it's kind of the way they change the ghouls in Fallout.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, yeah. In the show versus the game. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then
I'm with you. I got that reference.
Haha. But yeah, I mean, it's all a continuation from that. We have episode 1 where we essentially meet the ragtag crew of the last survivors getting all together of Earth with Kamala and Kate and Riri, who didn't know each other ahead of time. They didn't know major other superheroes that didn't happen in those story arcs because it happened before Infinity War, right?
Yeah.
And them getting the beacon that was there. Now we don't know who that zombie was in the ship, but who do you think it was that had this Hank Pym beacon to call out to the Nova Corps?
I thought it was Hawkeye at first.
No.
I honestly thought that's who it was.
Yeah.
But who would be left? That I know there's a couple channels that have different theories. They think it's Eric Selvig.
Oh, Selvig.
Oh, I thought you know what? He did kind of look Eric Selvig-y at first. And then I was like, no, it's got to be Hawkeye. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Because Hawkeye shows up in 2 different instances aside from the Quinjet. So, I mean, I don't think it was him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't either. Because it's like, yeah, I don't think it was.
He's the first person they fight, and he's in that last battle, too. So,
yeah, so I don't think it was Hawkeye. Eric Selvig, that's a good one. I was trying to think who else it could be.
Agent Coulson.
Ooh.
Oh.
Well, I guess the question is
dead. Agent Coulson is like dead for the 3rd time.
Well,
right.
Because we talked about something from the past, we did see Thanos rewrite and actually bring people up from the ground. He brought the dead back as zombies. They weren't just humans that became zombies too.
Right.
So in theory, maybe he did that. Coulson coming out of his grave as well, but
so he could die a 4th time.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah,
pretty soon he'll be in double digits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. Like I said, with the homing device that they had, and who would have contact though with Nova Corps? I mean,
who would have contact with Nova Corps? Shield could.
So it would have to be somebody who's connected to Shield, essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
And we know it's not going to be Gamora or Quill or Drax because they're elsewhere. They didn't come even to Earth, so they're theoretically safe from the zombie plague.
Again, Eric Selvig makes sense. I as a joke, I said Agent Coulson, but I mean it could be Agent Coulson. I mean, just because he is connected to Shield.
Are you trying to say it's Peter Quill?
No, I don't think that's Peter Quill. It would have been very evident that was Peter Quill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think it is him.
Yeah, so I mean, with what do you think of essentially Riri using her tech to stop it and then create an antidote? And if she had this antidote, why is that not the main focus? Why is it the contact the Nova Corps? Why is it bringing the military in? That's just going to quarantine them anyway.
I guess the contingency, what they thought was that they were going to come and save everybody, that they had some kind of plan to save everyone, not realizing that it's not that they're going to save everyone. They're saving everybody in the universe on a grander scheme and not
Yeah.
the people on the planet itself.
Right. Because what like I said, what caused it to spread outside of Earth Z, as they call it, was the Silver Surfer and Galactus come in. They just go, hey, now we have cosmic powers. Let's go fly around and eat the entire universe.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know.
Everybody wants to eat the universe.
Mhm.
What's
It's
up
delicious.
with that?
It's delicious.
It is a good snack.
Yeah.
It's filled with coconut oil.
Yeah. And then we have, we
I'll
get into that,
pass.
as you said, the sacrifices that happen, you always had, let's face it, Riri coming back is also a huge movie trope where someone you thought was dead comes back to help snap you out of it.
Right.
Obviously, we lose her in episode 1. We have what happens, like I said, with the Immortals or the
At least with
Eternals, Icarus, right? Where's the rest of them?
That's a good point. That is a good point. That we see Icarus, but we don't see anybody else. And Icarus is locked in an eternal battle with Captain Marvel, which is amazing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, they looked so cool for zombies.
For a second,
really cool.
For a moment, just because of the mohawk, I immediately thought that it was Storm, and I was like, "Oh!"
I thought it was Storm at first. I was like, "There's a storm over there."
Yeah.
A storm. What's going on? And then I was like, it's Icarus, and I was like, that's Captain Marvel. Oh my god! And so I was pretty psyched about that.
Yeah,
I was hoping it's Gladiator.
That would be cool. I
cool.
don't think they would have brought Gladiator in just because at this point they did have a couple of niche characters, especially in that final battle, but I think Gladiator as locked into an eternal battle would have been something that was just too much for everybody to wrap their minds around, given he hasn't been introduced in the MCU yet.
Yeah.
That's more something you would have to go back and watch X-Men, and you would know who Gladiator is if you went back and watched the original X-Men cartoon.
Well,
right.
I would counter that this is the perfect opportunity to bring X-Men 97 into the world.
And you're not wrong. You could have brought in X-Men 97. I think that would have been a little bit too much to add all of those characters into it. But it could have been a fun way to bring the X-Men into a world where they're interacting with the rest of the greater Marvel universe.
Mm-hmm. And I only think that because Asteroid M and Wakanda were the safe havens versus the new Asgard and Wakanda that we had in this, and that was a perfect opportunity to bring Asteroid M into it.
Right.
And of course then Mojo having all Marvel Love Island, all Marvel Zombie Love Island Mojo version would be amazing. Right. Zombies in Love.
There we go. I loved that they called the car Uhura.
Yes, I love the Trek.
That was so cool.
That was so good.
Yes, I loved that, and and it was just they all seem to have such synergy with each other. It's like they gave us a slight glimpse of what they could be in live action, and so I really appreciated that because who knows when we're gonna get Champions / Young Avengers / whatever the hell they're going to call them when they're in their 30s and they finally get around to making the movie.
Well, do you think that was a planting of the seed of Young Avengers, having them team up?
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Champions or New Avengers, whatever the heck.
Whatever they're calling
Avengers Light.
It's Light.
Avengers Vibe. What are the kids saying these days?
They're saying all the things.
Avengers, yes.
Yes, Avengers.
Yes, Avengers, yes.
All right, so let's kind of move into episode 2, and what were your overall thoughts of episode 2? Do you think that was a good continuation, good follow-up? To me, it felt like just a great natural storyline movement of it.
I felt like there was
the Shang-Chi one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make
start off in San Francisco. I felt like any point, and this is between all 4 episodes, no given point was there anywhere where it slowed down. It's one of those things where you can put it all together, cut out like the credits, put it all together, and it still meshes as one single movie. It was so well written and produced and cut in the right places that the pace just never dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really, it wasn't breakneck at any point, but it moved. It was like you were being you were in a like a lazy river,
Mhm.
and you were hitting like the part where you go down a little, so you're going a little faster, but it was like that the whole time. And so it wasn't dangerously fast, but it wasn't like iceberg slow. So, although I feel like icebergs actually do go pretty fast in the water. But anyway, not getting down that hole.
It's funny that in the video you brought up the post-apocalyptic Mad Max world, and they are very much living that once we get into them past that initial scene.
Mm-hmm.
It's very
Yeah.
Mad Max, and I love that the people coming after them are Skrulls.
But they were just
That was so funny.
they were just normal Skrulls.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
They weren't zombies, and because even
they're
Super
just
Skrull
Skrulls.
gets bitten in the comics, and that's just obviously dangerous as well. Which I said, I yes, it's Mad Max, but like I said, it's also very Resident Evil because Alice takes them through the desert. Everyone has to drive through Las Vegas to get to wherever at all times, right? So it's always a desert chase that happens with it, and that's why I kind of geared it. All my references, yes, Phil, you talked about Endgame, but I try to do all horror based things with it.
Yeah.
And like
I felt like going back to the original, like when Shang-Chi gets zombified a little, I felt that was way more like those old disaster movies of like the 70s and the early 80s. Like people trapped in a building, or like and everything's like there's a huge earthquake, or like the mega earthquake or whatever.
Poseidon
Like
Adventure.
those, yeah, like that Poseidon Avenger. Yeah, stuff like that. I really honestly felt like, whoa. Okay. I felt like that was what it was. Or like Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, like with the huge like things, and that it seemed very like old school sci-fi horror, where where they did that very like sci-fi version, but like the Blob. It had that kind of feel to me. So I didn't know if you picked up on that, but I was like, that's how I feel about like an old disaster movie, or some of those like the original War of the Worlds in the 50s, and that kind of, where everything was just huge, and it felt like that. So anyway, go ahead. I just wanted.
Oh yeah. Like I said, I include some there because I consider a lot of that stuff 50s, 60s to be more sci-fi than horror. But I had to, of course, include the giant bugs in the building and the claw, because that is. Yeah. I said I immediately saw that and go, that's the beginning of the end. Like, how I know that's something that no one has talked about at all, being that piece, and that is a huge radiation causing, because there's lots of radiation now, especially with the Infinity Stones getting evaporated into their essence again.
Well, the other thing is where some of the explanation that, like, where you can explain some of this stuff where they don't really explain it, but they kind of allude to it a little bit, is PIM particles. Right? So like you assume they use PIM particles to shrink that one little thing down. You could assume that when Hank gets bitten, because he obviously gets bitten, we see him later in the show. But like when Hank gets bitten, maybe something happens where he just drops a bunch of PIM particles, and that's how we get giant zombies and this giant seagull and these giant bugs, along with like smaller things, like things that are a lot smaller than they should be. Like I think that there is something happened where there was like a fight with the PIM particles, given that Hank Pym in the MCU lives in San Francisco, and this is taking place in San Francisco. Kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he goes into the quantum realm, and Janet is already a zombie, and he gets bitten and brings it back into the quantum realm. Yeah, and like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed the raft being what they consider to be humanity's last safe haven, because
Oh yeah,
in theory, it's made to keep superheroes in, so then it should be able to be made to keep superhero zombies out.
I thought that was interesting that Zemo got control over the raft.
Now, do you think it's because he was there and just took over?
I think that's all it was. He
Yeah.
was there, and
Yeah.
by chance he was able to take it over.
Yeah, and we got to talk about the Johnny Mayonnaise of it all, and him being just complete, absolute douchebag.
He really was.
I mean,
He's
Johnny
bit-
Mayo, Johnny Mayo.
He was every bit the douchebag he is every time he comes on screen. It is
Absolutely.
so great.
But he was so much more a whipping boy, though, too. I mean, it was pathetic. It was pathetic to watch. I was like, ah. So.
Well, I mean, they had to bring in the Thunderbolts, and that's how we got on both sides of the Thunderbolts. We had, Zombie Ghost, we had, Johnny Walker and Zemo, who was part of the Thunderbolts at one point in time that we just
In
didn't
the
get.
comics,
Yeah.
Zombie Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Probably
so freaking
one
cool.
She was probably one of my favorite fight scenes in the first episode. So when they're when they're all, or I think it was the second episode. Was it the second episode? No, first episode. First episode. Where they're all fighting, and she just phases in there and just starts wrecking everybody.
Mm-hmm. She kills all the widows.
She kills all the widows. It's just like they made her look so badass, and she was so much more badass than even when we got in Thunderbolts, which they made her look badass in Thunderbolts, right? Like they redeemed a character that so many people hated so well between a movie where she looked a lot better, and in this cartoon she looks so badass. It is so ridiculous. I think when I initially messaged you guys when I was going through everything, I was like, no, Ghost is my new favorite character right now because she's going through. And then again, I started standing on Namor, because not only the way that he kind of he was just OP as hell in comparison to everybody, but that introduction. Right.
Oh, yeah.
The way they
was
introduced
great.
him, because like you already see all the swimming zombies, right? And it's like, okay, does Namor show up? And then they show this, like, zoom into him on his throne, looks up with the milky eye, and it turns red, and showing that he's one of the minions. And it's like, oh my god, that's so dope. And just immediately goes into destroying the raft.
Oh yeah. So I mean, I was thinking that fight was between Blade Knight, which I don't think Blade needed Khonshu to win that fight, versus Ghost, was very reminiscent of Sabretooth versus Will.i.am's character in X-Men Wolverine Origins, while he was figuring out how to predict where he was going to be blinking in and out.
Yeah. That was cool. I think one of my favorites, of course, the girls. I love the girls. But I have to say Blade Knight, I think, was the coolest thing that they did. Having it like, he takes over as being Khonshu's avatar. I mean, it was awesome. I was just like, oh man, this is amazing. So yeah.
I went into it thinking that there wasn't going to be an explanation. They were just like, hey, this is happening, and just assume. But it's a very faint line, right? He talks about his previous avatar was taken over by a zombie, so he chose me. And it's like, oh shit. Okay, so he does like an explanation that, Moon Knight got attacked by zombies, and Khonshu, being a god, switched over to Blade. I do love, I think one of the best moments in the last episode, which I'm getting ahead of myself, but just the imagery of it, was when he pulls up his sword and it goes from his face and Khonshu reflected in the sword and then back to his face again. And it was just like, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was like so cool. But let's continue.
Yeah.
We'll talk about him.
Yeah.
So I was saying, so yeah, Namor being super OP, they use the Hulk's containment center, containment station to try and contain him, and he's so strong that he just breaks through it, and just continuously wrecks everybody. The way that he gets taken out was, I'm not even going to say that they did it skillfully or anything like that. It was pure luck.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
couldn't have done it again.
It was pure luck. It was everybody was on him, holding him back, and she happened to get her fist in his mouth and expanded her fist. And it's like any other moment, like he basically had everybody close to death.
Yeah. And like I said, and Screen Crush pointed out is that's the first time that she used her powers to kill.
Yeah,
it's just to protect. And that kind of was like an, oh shit, I actually have to grow up and kill people, zombies. You know, it's you can't save everyone, especially in that world. I mean, theoretically, they can save everyone, but we'll never know. But yeah, it's you know, and yeah, and it's like I said, it just continues the trope of, you know, the survivors go to a town and zombies follow them and the town gets destroyed, and then move on to the next. And you know, we lose Elena in the middle of it, and you know, after that, you kind of knew that, like, okay, they're killing, you know, Elena, and like, okay, he said, who's left? That's the heart. Well, he's the one that's going to have to go next, and we theorized in Thunderbolts that Red Guardian might die because he was the heart of the team, and I think this is kind of where they gave it to us here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He definitely was the heart of that entire. He was the heart and soul of that entire team, going into the final moments of that fight, and it's heartbreaking because you want him to succeed, you want him to continue going on, you want him to avenge Elena, and it never comes to fruition.
Yep. Yeah. So let's kind of go into episode 3, where we get the, you know, potentially Infinity War zombie Thanos, who's able to figure stuff out with his Infinity Glove, and you know, T'Challa sacrificing himself, throw him into this sudden, you know, vibranium mine that they had there, and then, you know, the whole piece of it, what happens at Wakanda, and it has like a reverse Battle of Wakanda.
Right.
It's instead of, you know, they are the people trying to get into Wakanda and save it, and well, the Dorjlali, I can't say their name, I don't remember it. Dormalaji, or kind of stop it. Yeah, fighting there. I was disappointed I didn't really see M'Baka or anyone else of note in Wakanda.
Yeah, that's true.
And part of me is hoping, because of the comics, that this is once again X-Men 97, because Forge, I think, would have been great to give him, you know, T'Challa the legs that he needed, the arm that he needed to continue to go, but they just changed it just because I think it was a homage to, obviously, you know, him dying, and they didn't want to have someone else come in and do the voice for the series.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I liked seeing him. I liked having that memory of him, but if someone else had said anything out of his, you know, for him, I would have been like,
even
I don't like it.
they very much did it comic book style, because the whole thing is being narrated by Peter Parker. And you know, there's a moment where he's describing T'Challa's heroism, right? And he talks about, you know, and in that moment I could hear him under his breath say not T'Challa, say Wakanda forever, and sacrifice himself to take out Thanos. Yeah, and it's one of those moments where, again, the way that the storytelling was done, we didn't have to hear T'Challa say Wakanda forever, and you can hear it in your head, right? You can hear him, you know, you hear that moment in Infinity War where you know, they're going into that battle, and T'Challa, everybody, you know, goes in Wakanda forever, and then they just go in, but you can hear it. you know,
Mhm.
in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that, and I also thought it was I mean, it's fitting. It's one of those things where you've got um that where like Marvel just wants to put Thanos and T'Challa together, because in What If, he's in his What If episode in
Right.
season 1.
Right.
And then in Infinity War, and then here, and it's like, okay, all right, just give them a, road movie or something
Well,
so they can get
they
it out of their system.
they announced recently that before he died, they were planning on doing an entire TV show about that alternate version of T'Challa as Star-Lord.
Mhm.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
Yeah,
But
but he passed away before they could do it all. Like there was a
get him
plan for it.
to record it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously, then we get into the whole new Asgard of it all. And
So there is a lot of regression in that like everything that leads up to that. I think there is a lot of events within the MCU have not happened at all, because she is at no point is she referenced as being the king,
correct.
Yeah.
right? And that
Thor's
Thor
the
has been
king.
there the entire time, that he is still the king.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I I thought that this episode was to me probably the most classic key horror episode,
Yeah,
as far as like the whole, you know, Dracula, how he would, try to, there was that where he could play those mind tricks where you would eat something you didn't know you were eating. You thought you were eating something else. Like very much Lost Boys with the
oh yeah,
whole Jason Patrick thinks he's eating noodles, and it's actually, or they make him think it's worms, and it's like it was that kind of sleight of hand kind of thing, and I was like,
yeah,
oh yeah, that's very classic, like horror. And everything, once that shadow was taken off, or reality was put back on, everything was bathed in red. So it just felt like there's just so much blood, and it was just really cool visually as well as the story part of it. And I thought they did a really good job on that.
So, why did Blade stop Jimmy from eating but let Alexi?
Because he knew Alexi could take it. Like he knew
or
Alexi wouldn't really, I don't know. Maybe he just didn't think about it, or didn't see it. Oh, he
I was
might
gonna
have
say,
seen
I
it.
think it was more that he didn't see it. I think it was more on the lines of Alexi was probably in a different area of the hall, and
Mhm.
he just didn't see it happening.
Or maybe he's just an asshole.
Oh, Blade is? Yes, absolutely.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he is, and they do. I mean, they reference it, like, how come you didn't say anything earlier? He goes, Conchu doesn't tell me everything.
Yeah. I don't know.
But he has extra senses without Khonshu. He would be able to see through veils because that's part of the lure of fighting vampires. You can
Right.
see through their shit.
You can see through
Right.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Thor 100% reminded me of King Theoden.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh,
Just
totally got that.
the way that he was kind of like blinded to everything that was in front of him. He was so stricken by grief that he just ignored everything around him and was just sitting there the entire time. And it took, like, the zombies finally attacking him to kind of break out of his stupor and go. Like, he just reminded me of King Theoden being whispered to by the Grey Worm,
Mm-hmm. Well, it's very true, because something I didn't point out necessarily is there's a lot of Lord of the Rings references with the Helm's Deep battle. With every battle that happens in this is very Lord of the Rings. You talk about like Thor not doing anything, but he's also like Treebeard, that it took a lot for them to get involved with the war for the Ents to get involved, and just like it's not their battle. And that's what the Asgardians' take were. They were the Ents, not wanting to go to war. Like we're here, why they're there? Should they be on Earth?
Yeah, and it seemed like they were battling with that the entire time. Like almost all of the gods were battling with, should we even be here right now?
Well, if the events of the timeline happened, it's before Infinity War, they wouldn't be there anyway.
Right.
The Asgardians would not be there.
It's a little weird because there is a new Asgard.
Not in Norway, but middle of the United States, yes.
Right. And New Asgard was not founded by Valkyrie, which in the MCU was founded by Valkyrie. But Valkyrie is still regular Valkyrie in this.
Mm-hmm.
And Thor is still the king and the god, because when Thor became king, they were essentially homeless.
Yeah.
But that was right before Infinity
War. Right.
Well, he had both eyes. So
no, he didn't. Because half of his face was
the opposite eye was the one that was gone, though.
Yeah.
I'm saying he had both eyes. Yeah.
Two-Face looking to me, which is DC reference, but you know what I'm saying.
But that's also because Thanos, like, basically, God burned him. So
yeah, he survived that. But yeah, right. It also kind of begs the question. If you're able to eat a zombie, become a zombie, how much of a zombie do you have to put in your mouth to become a zombie? You just lick them and become one,
right?
Or do you have to?
I don't think it's like those drug frogs. I don't think that's how it works.
Well, like I said, it brings up interesting things. Is if you eat a zombie, do you become a zombie?
Well, you would get the virus.
Yeah, what's funny is there's some vampire lore that's like that, where like if you get bitten by a vampire, you don't necessarily become a vampire, but once you ingest their blood, I think what was the Interview with the Vampire? Is that was the lore in that? Was
most are like that. If you essentially even in Dresden Files, stuff like that, is you have to have an exchanging of blood. You have to actually have enough of your blood taken out, and then you drink their blood, so you have more of the vampire virus in your system than your blood. So that's how that balances. Once you hit 50.1%, you become that thing.
Right.
Then it just it overrides everything. Yeah. But no, I mean, and it's all, I mean, honestly, vampires, that's just repressed sexual desires. So that's really what that's all about.
Same as zombies.
So, yeah, really, it is.
Where you want
but yeah, so
until your dick falls off.
Exactly. Episode 4, the culmination, the final stance of protecting the ruin-laden Hulk that is just imbued with Infinity Stones.
God, Infinity Hulk. It's funny that we were talking about Infinity Hulk like a week ago, and then he shows up in this, and it's like, it's such a cool, because we were talking. What were we talking about? We were talking about like what versions of Hulk haven't shown up that we would want to see show up.
Oh,
that was on Tuesday. That was like 2 days ago, and I put that in there because I had already seen Marvel Zombies.
Oh, okay.
And I was referencing that to kind of tease this, but it's real high level. It's real high level.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that we had Infinity Hulk because, like I said, going back to the comics, Hulk is the hardest one to control with his hunger because he gets really hangry as a zombie. And he just wants to stop. Now, when he transforms back, Banner still has all the parts inside of him. So he is like stretched out as zombie Banners. Like pieces of meal are sticking out because he just can't consume all that stuff as a zombie and digest well.
Oh, man.
But
that's just so weird. The comics are so weird.
Yeah.
They are quite weird. Yeah, like I said, the final fight, and we have to talk about, like I said, all the old friends coming back and having to fight them, and all, Spider-Man pull the heads off of people.
I was just gonna say, one of the coolest coolest visual things in that entire fight was Spider-Man ripping like 7 zombies' heads off with the web, and it was just like, oh my god, kill it. I almost was gonna say that was the kill of the fight, but then like the entire battle, but they start kind of escalating like the kills and how cool the fights are, because then you get like Ant-Man and the Wasp, right? But Janet Van Dyne and Hank Pym, right? And you see them fighting, and you know the way that oh my god, the way that Valkyrie takes out Janet was absolutely brutal. You know, it was really cool. And then the fight between Okoye and Valkyrie was ridiculous, because Okoye was just, it was almost like her senses were enhanced even more than they already are for who she is. Because she could like hold her own against Valkyrie like it was
as Guardian. Yeah, that's really impressive.
Right. Because yes, she's a zombie and she's like, you know, undead and whatnot, but for the most part, she doesn't have any power. She's just a really good warrior. So the fact that she's that good that she can hold up against a Valkyrie, not just an Asgardian, but a Valkyrie, supposed to be one of the best warriors in all of Viking lore.
And she's the last Valkyrie.
The last Valkyrie, right? You know, she holds her own extremely well, and then that's just, you know, it makes for a good fight. You know, the whole Hank Pym of everything. I love that the way Blade takes him out.
Oh right?
And it's just Khonshu calling it out, because Khonshu's like, behind you, and then he just cuts him in half as a mini dude. It's so good.
Oh yeah.
That's why I liked Blade Knight so much. It was just like it was like Moon Knight without all the personalities. But Blade was just Blade. I mean, he was just like, look, yeah, I know, I'm wearing white. Get over it. And that was it.
I love the introduction with him, because she said something about his outfit, and he goes, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
But I also liked his interactions with Kamala and with Red Guardian. I thought like how he really like interacted with them was just, it was great. It was like there was enough humor in it that made the like horrific stuff like land a little softer, I think, emotionally. But the story was so good. It was a really thought out story, and I absolutely need a Blade Knight series. I need them to do at least one season.
I just need Blade.
And it needs to be at least 8 episodes. 8.
I just need Blade. I need them to finally make this Blade movie, and us finally get Mahershala Ali as Blade. Even though this wasn't Mahershala Ali, it was another voice actor that played him.
It was styled after him, though.
It was styled after Mahershala Ali. I need to see that version of the character. I need to see more of this version of Blade. I did love the interactions that he had with Khonshu. There was almost like a level of mutual respect between the two of them. Whereas when you see him with regular Moon Knight, there's almost like a level of like I hate to put it this way, but there's like Dom energy that Khonshu has.
Mark is a puppet,
right?
He's just a puppet. Blade has his shit together for being Blade.
Right, and that's the whole thing. Is like you see the level of mutual respect between Khonshu and Blade that he doesn't have with Mark.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I mean, Blade has killed gods too, so
he has.
Now,
true.
before we get into what we predict what's going to come after this, I have one final theory question. If one of the 10 rings is able to stop the zombie outbreak, could Kamala's bangle do the same?
I think it would. I honestly think it would. Kamala had enough power where she was able to hold off a lot of zombies. There was a scene towards, it may have been in the second episode, but no, it wasn't second episode, when they were in the hallway where they're all fighting zombies, and she essentially turns her constructs into like little mini diamond bullets and just starts taking out a whole bunch of zombies with it. And it's like, between that and her creating walls and splattering zombies on the wall, like I think she has a level of power that the 10 rings have, and supposedly in the MCU, the way that they're building the 10 rings and the bangles, they're supposed to be the same energy. So it's it's supposed to be from the same origin. So it's I honestly think that they are pretty similar in strength.
Yeah, like I said. Well, I'm just saying, like, if she got bit on her left hand, would the bangle stop the spread?
I think it could. I think
Yeah.
she would
Oh,
be able
yeah.
to use it because she can control constructs enough where she could put a permanent construct on her arm. So,
Oh yeah. So, big question is, what's next? What's season 2?
Season 2, they definitely left it open for the next season. It's going to be interesting to see what they do in the next season. I think they go cosmic.
Do we get Fantastic Four with the cosmic version?
That would be cool. I was thinking, what if we get? Well, they won't do Shi'ar because but we could get Guardians. We could get a Guardians of the Galaxy, a different one, but
Right.
similar.
Well, they also
But
did
that
kill.
might-
They also did kill Groot and Rocket pretty quickly in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't see Groot go down to his skeleton, unfortunately. But yeah,
Well, yeah, because
see how many rings he had.
Yeah, I know, right? He's a tree, so I'm sure it just smelled like a burnt forest in there. Burnt forest
Right.
and roadkill meat, So
So you think they do what they do at the end of the first series, where they go cosmic?
I think they go cosmic in this. I think they go cosmic just because that is logically the next place to go. Is how do you, with a lot of these series, how do we go bigger in the next series, right? And it's you logically take it from Earth and go cosmic, and now you start dealing with the Guardians. You start dealing with maybe we start seeing more of the God, what are they called? Icarus is one of them.
Eternals.
The Eternals. I wanted to say the Immortals, but I was like, that's wrong. Maybe you start seeing more of the Eternals, right? Maybe you start seeing more of the God characters. Maybe you start seeing, maybe we see Nova. Considering that by the time we get a season 2, we should have a whole Nova series out. You know what I mean? So like, maybe we see Nova. Maybe we start seeing, like you said, maybe we see Gladiator, even though Gladiator is tied to the Shi'ar kind of heavily. But I mean, like, maybe we do see Gladiator show up. Maybe we do see Sentry in the next one. Oh my God, imagine Sentry as a freaking vampire. Not vampire, sorry, as a zombie.
Well, also like Wonder Man. We didn't see Wonder Man at all, so that might be something too.
Well, that's kind of the idea, is because the Midnight Suns was Hellstrom, it was Morbius, it was Jennifer Kale, it was Man-Thing, it was a bunch of things that can't be affected. Like I said, and then Wonder Man, Vision. There's a couple other people there's like the giant robot woman that can't be affected. So do we see them in the grand scale of things as we get introduced to them in the next couple of properties we have? Because we're setting up these synthetic that can't be affected by zombies in the real MCU to have them come into the Marvel zombies.
Right. And I mean, a lot of these characters have been introduced. We have a Jennifer Kale. We have we don't have Hellstrom yet, but I mean, technically
we do.
They did a Hellstrom show, but it's not connected to the MCU. So that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't have a reintroduction of Hellstrom.
Kind of was
Wiccan.
in. Well, it kind of was in Werewolf by Night.
Yeah, and we have Man-Thing and Werewolf by Night too. So I mean, like,
yeah, and Werewolf by Night was also part of the Midnight Suns that couldn't be affected because he's already a werewolf. They said in the comics he can't be affected by it.
Right. Jen, you were about to say something. I'm sorry, I stopped you.
Oh no, you're fine. I was saying, I don't remember.
Where do you want to go with the season 2 then?
There's Agatha and Wiccan are also out there. So
Yeah.
and they've got some pretty
And you also have Lady Death.
super doopy power. Yeah. I don't know if Wiccan is out there actually.
He's not.
Because
Vision
no,
didn't.
he wouldn't be.
The hex didn't happen
Yeah.
in Westview.
That's true. But Agatha is still out there because she was out there prior to.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't stuck in Westview. She went there on purpose. So
Right.
Agatha is still out there, so she could help.
Like I said, Lady Death is still a character that can be in play in this. And then, of course,
Yeah.
does Deadpool show up in season 2 because Deadpool is a major character in the comics?
Sure is.
Yeah. So I have a question though. So what happened at the very end? I mean, so I assume that when they touched hands, it gave Wanda that extra juice to make reality whatever the heck she wanted it to be. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I need you all to explain it to me.
She's using a construct to cover the world.
So
what
anyone
she
who
did?
was left as human would not notice there's zombies anywhere.
Oh. So but she was coming out of it, and that's why we saw Riri. But then why I thought Riri died, but she didn't die, and that's what. Okay, that's what you guys are saying again. All right, just pretend I'm James. So.
But yes, I mean, and with Riri in there in the series, we see what happens to Kingpin. Kingpin creates a zombie empire, and he fights against the Red Hood. And Jennifer Cale sells herself to Mephisto to get more powers to help fight zombies. So there's a lot more pieces that we can have at play there. Like I said, I obviously want Mojo to have his zombie vision, his zombie Love Island, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think when this is all said and done, I don't think it'll be the comics, because the comics, nothing gets cured. It's always bad. I think they'll try to solve it, but there'll be one zombie left, and the collector will have it.
Ooh, I would love for Tina Lansevere to be the one that holds on to the last zombie.
Mm-hmm. Magnificent. Magnificent.
Yeah. Or
that's cool.
Realistically, what I think happens in season 2 is we see the zombie branch of the timeline in the TVA, and it's spreading.
Nice. And that would also explain why we didn't see Loki in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know what I would want in the second season. I like that. I want the Brood. Bring the Brood.
I wanted to say that earlier.
Let's just go.
I wanted to say that earlier when I was talking about cosmic characters. I was like, maybe we see the Brood. I was like, I'm not going to go that far, but Jen brought it out. So yes, I want to see the Brood. I want to see, are the Brood affected by the zombies? And on top of that, what kind of a threat is that? That is some scary shit. If you really think about it.
So if the Brood can be affected and there's zombie Brood, they're unstoppable.
Yeah.
Unstoppable.
So if you get bit, you become basically a zombie pretender. That is absolutely terrifying.
There is one thing that could stop it. Forge and the Phalanx. And just think of the way Cable has to hold back his disease, that they could do cybernetic implants to stop it at certain points.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Then we can get people like Lady Deathstrike, Omega Red.
There you go. Well, no, it's so they can go so many places with it. I doubt we'll get any like zombie X-Men for a while, but I'd like to see some of the other characters. I'd like to see him go mystical to see if they can't get that, get past all of the Scarlet Witch stuff and because apparently Kamala's the key thing.
She's the girl with all the gifts, if you will.
She's the girl with all the gifts. That's correct. She's the blonde kid in Aliens. She can't die. Anyway.
Well, I said the girls all the gifts because that is a zombie movie where the zombies are being treated as children, and they're able to do that. So awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, I honestly, I think that they have to save Kamala, and yeah, maybe they'll get some more of the Midnight Suns involved now that Blade Knight's out of here. That's all I have.
Awesome. All right.
And, oh wait,
Cool.
I want to shout out Jimmy Woo, my man Jimmy Woo.
Oh man,
Love to see him in another property.
Won't be Marvel Zombies.
And I loved him and the Death Eater.
oh, Death Dealer.
It was
Death
so
Dealer,
fun.
yeah.
Or Death Dealer, yeah.
The
The Death Dealer.
relationship between him and Death Dealer was amazing.
It was so funny. I was just like, and it was exactly what you expected from Jimmy Woo. Exactly. I loved it. It was amazing. More Jimmy Woo, please. Hashtag manifesting.
You know what surprised me is we didn't get any of the Defenders in there.
That's true.
Because in that fight, I was almost waiting for Iron Fist to pop out and help, like Iron Fist to jump in and help Shang-Chi out.
In San Francisco?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, was Matt Murdock knocking boots with Jennifer at that point in time?
Oh,
Me? No, he
No,
wasn't
Jennifer
knocking boots with me.
Jennifer Kale.
Not
Jennifer
Kale.
Kale.
Not Kale. She-Hulk.
Oh.
Oh.
That's the reason why he'd be in San Francisco.
That's true. That's true.
All right, cool. Well,
I'm
Seems
just
fun.
glad none of this is canon. We don't have to like actually follow along all of this.
Right.
we don't.
No.
We do.
I'm so happy. I'm like, I
Good.
don't have to look for crap that's gonna come up later. I'm like, I love it.
Oh, I for sure think there will be a live action zombie at some point in time.
Yeah, oh, definitely. I would love to see that. Well, they started it with Doctor Strange mom. There were zombies in that, technically.
Well, and
Heck,
Headpool
Doctor
was
Strange
in.
was one. Yes, Headpool was in Deadpool and Wolverine. So yeah, I mean they're all over the place. Zombies have always been here. We just weren't looking.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's
Yep.
honestly that's what it is.
Well,
We're all
let's-
zombies. We
we
just
are.
don't know it.
We are. Well, let's bury this episode for tonight.
Ha.
So
Somebody.
awesome. Thank you everyone here for joining us, for putting up with my shenanigans of the test that we did at the beginning of the episode.
with the shenanery.
Shenanery. Yes. Damn shenanery.
Damn shenanery.
Yes. And let us know if you guys want us to do more stuff like this where we have breakdowns and other things of what you may have missed, what other people may have missed, because we're nerds. We see things. We can do it.
That's right.
We were told we were niche nerds. And I take that as a compliment.
Let's be quiche nerds instead.
Yeah. Ooh. 4 cheese quiche sounds delicious.
With pickles.
No
I'm
pickles.
kidding. I
No,
wouldn't put
no
pickles
pickles.
in
That
it.
sounds disgusting. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, that is it from us. We will catch you guys later. Of course, Grave and Jen may be back on tomorrow. If you guys are interested in some fun stuff.
It's Jep nerdy.
It's
I
Jep
did another
Nerdy.
one.
Yay! Hold on, I have a button. There we go. So, guys, join us tomorrow for some Jep Nerdy. Graveyard, I'm going to play your most hated version of this outro, but mainly because I have to play it. You are the writer. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it from us. As always, keep nerding together. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye.
Distance nerding.